Expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Amp2.tv presents You and Your Doctor, teaching you to live a longer and healthier life. Proudly sponsored by All County Healthcare, where people are the heart of our business. All County Healthcare is a Medicare certified agency where one call will service all your home care health needs. For more information, call 954-717-7027 or visit our website, allcountyhealthcare.com. Now, let's get informed to living a longer and healthier life. Here is your host for today's show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of You and Your Doctor, sponsored by All County Healthcare. I am your host, Louise Gomez, and we are a certified home health care agency servicing Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade. You can reach us at 954-717-7027. And tonight, I am delighted to introduce everybody to Dr. Kelly Miller. He is a board-certified addiction psychiatrist and expert who operates Saving Your Brain. And you can find him at the website, savingyourbrain.com. You can reach him at info@savingyourbrain.com. And also the phone number is 813-629-3287. Thank you for coming on the show, Dr. Miller. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule so last minute. So I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thanks you for having me. I always love to talk to people about what we do.
I'm excited to learn about this. I will tell my audience, I literally just met Dr. Miller through a different endeavor. And just going through the website and learning about all that you do at Saving Your Brain, I was so excited to learn more because I'm always interested in brain health. And if you could tell us a little bit about your background and then how you began your Saving Your Brain business and what that's all about.
Sure. So I had, my background is in chiropractic, acupuncture, naturopathy. And I have postgraduate certifications and fellowships in aging regenerative medicine, functional medicine, and neurodevelopmental brain. And really since 2015, I just kind of, it was just a gradual transition that we just started making the brain as the focal standpoint. I mean, everything starts in the brain runs everything. So really, everything, no matter whatever we do in healthcare, it's all related to the brain and the nervous system. So I actually was having some problems with my own brain with some memory. And so I started researching in 2015 my book called Saving Your Brain.
Oh.
And it came out in Saving Your Brain Causes, Prevention, and Reversal of Dementia, Alzheimer's. So it was published in August 2018. I was fortunate enough to be an Amazon bestseller. And
nice.
So it was kind of a global approach to, what things are bad for our brain and then what things can we do for our brain. And then since that time, I've been studying what's really known as in functional neurology, learning about the neuroanatomy and then how it works and then how we can do practical things to create neuroplastic changes in our brain at any age. So right now I've got 5-year-olds and I got 88-year-old and I have everything in between. So
can you share with our audience a little bit more? They may not be familiar with what is neuroplasticity, and if you can give us a layman's explanation on that.
Yeah, it's the ability of the brain to rewire, reroute, weight a given area. So For example, I've had stroke patients who had massive strokes, and they lost, damaged large areas of the brain,
Okay.
and they'd be in spastic paralysis, have trouble speaking, and their arm is curled up, their legs, they can't move it, and we have to create a new circuitry for that. And so there's a great book out called The Brain That Heals Itself. And it really talks about all the different cool research that's been in the world for the last 50 years that's really was overlooked by most people, about neuroplastic changes. But basically, you can strengthen, just like if you thought you had puny little arms, you could go to the gym and you
Right.
could pump them up. And so
Okay.
you can do that with the brain, doing specific things. And for example, when we treat children and adults also, ADHD or in the autism spectrum, they have, if we do functional MRI on them, they actually many times have in their right brain a network that's much smaller and underdeveloped compared to the left brain. So on the left side, they may have a 6-lane highway, but on the right side, they have a farm road. And it's that imbalance between the two hemispheres that creates the symptomatology or the dysfunction,
Are they
academically,
born that?
behaviorally.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to ask, are they born that way?
Many times, yeah. So it's, we develop in the womb and there's different imbalances that can occur, but then they get widened as we age. So we're born, one significant thing is something about primitive reflexes. So if any of the moms or grandmas, when they had children, if they had primitive reflex and they were nursing, if they would touch the child's cheek, it would open their mouth and turn to try to latch on. And if you put your finger in a baby's hand,
Right.
that was called rooting reflex. They would latch on. That's called a Palmer reflex. And there's about 10 of these reflexes, and they are to facilitate the birthing process and movement in early life. But lots of times, and they're denoted by certain milestones, which are really important. When did the baby sit by itself? Did they crawl like an army man? Did they creep up on their knees and their hands at a certain time? Did they walk at a certain time? Did they have so many words at 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? All those things indicate
Right.
a neurodevelopmental pathway. So many times these were missed. Like C-section babies all have retained primitive reflexes, but the reality is when we see adults, they also have these that have chronic, I'll say psychological or behavioral problems. They have these, and that's the reason that they're chronically anxious or they're depressed or they have chronic insomnia. That's part of the imbalance that creates an asymmetry in the growth of the brain. So as the brain grows, one side grows faster, stronger than the other. And once we get the weaker side is less than 85%, we start to have, we'll say we're getting a little quirky.
Oh, I see. So I was looking at your website and I see that you offer so many different modalities. How would one know what would be right for them? So I would imagine you do some type of assessment. And how would that work if, let's say, I were to go to your location and I would say I want some brain enhancement? What can we do? What would that look like when one would go to your office?
Yeah, so when people come in, I say, what are your challenges? What would you like to accomplish?
Okay.
Do you want better cognitive function? Do you want to read better? Do you want to have better reading comprehension? Do you want to sleep better? Do you want to have less anxiousness? Do you want to be more productive? effective at work. So really, it's what is either your challenge in life or what would you like to be better.
I
That's
see.
how we look at it, and then our analysis is questions, things like anxiety levels, depression levels, perceived stress, attention, focus, sleeping, and we get a baseline on that, and we also do cognitive testing. Uh, then when we come into the office, we're doing a neurodevelopmental exam. So we're looking at the brain, how it's supposed to develop from the bottom up, and do we have proper maturation in different areas? And do we have a weakness in certain areas? So what we're looking for is the difference between one side or the other. And then we look at these networks. So if we think about, like a map of the United States, so it's got 50 states, right?
Right.
So in our brain, we have 52 Brodmann areas, and that's they're balanced from either side. So what we see is, like, on one side, it's just bigger than the other side. For example, the left brain is the direct drive. So that's just, Louise, just do it now. Go, do that,
Right.
say that. The right brain is like, well, maybe we shouldn't say that right now, or maybe
Oh,
we
that's the
shouldn't do that.
filter. That's like more of the filter, right?
A filter, right. And it's also the part of the brain that allows you to listen and learn and kind of tune out a little audio or visual feedback. So we're looking at, anyway, these different networks, and we're looking for strengths and weaknesses, and we have different equipment that looks at the three major sensory systems that develop and grow the brain and keep our brain healthy when we're as we age. And that's the balanced postural system, something called the vestibular system, which is a coordination between the eyes and ears. So if I tilt my head to the right, my left eye is going to come up and my right eye is going to go down. And
Okay.
so it lets us know where we are in space at any time. And then we have what's called our oculomotor system, which is our eye tracking, ability to fixate on something, watch a car go by, or do a saccade movement, which is target to target. Like when we read, that's a saccade movement, because we go forward, then we retract, go forward, retract. So we look at all these functions, and we look at those areas, and we have specific diagnostic equipment that assesses that. And then also that same equipment can rehabilitate that weak area. And we also do a QEEG brain map. So we
What
look at
is
the
that?
brainwave pattern.
So a QEG brainwave. What is that?
It's a brain map.
Sounds
So we put on, it's like a swim cap, and it's got 19 points of reference that are covering different areas of the brain: the frontal cortex, the temporal lobes, the parietal lobes, the occipital lobes. And it's measuring certain brainwave activities. We have 5 different brain waves. We have delta, which is the slowest, and that's like 1 to 4 hertz. So when I say hertz, that's a cycle per second.
Okay.
And then that's the primary brainwave activity in our first 2 years of life. And then from 2 to 6, we develop something called theta waves, more theta waves, a little faster, 5 to 8 hertz. Then 6 to 10, we develop alpha waves, which are like 8 to 12 hertz. And by age 10, in a normal neurodevelopmental brain, our brain should be resonating at about 10 hertz. That's the idle speed of our brain.
Okay.
And then from there, we develop beta waves, low beta than high beta, which is for analytical thinking. We get more, faster brainwave activity for more brainwave purposes. So what we're looking at is, do we have the right proportion of these brain waves for that person's age? Because I see kids, and I see, young people, and I see middle-aged people, and I see older folks.
Sure.
And also, because that's reflective of certain neural behaviors.
Dr. Miller, we have a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back, everybody. Don't go away.
All County Healthcare has exciting news for any and all patients with COPD or other respiratory ailments. Listen to what renowned pulmonologist Dr. Keith Robinson has to say.
Hello, I'm Dr. Keith Robinson, board-certified pulmonologist, medical director at Fusion Health Pulmonary Rehabilitation, and a board member with the American Lung Association of South Florida. We have exciting news for patients with COPD. We now offer IPV therapy at home, which has been demonstrated to improve airway clearance, decrease hospitalization, and improve quality of life of patients with COPD. Please call All County Healthcare for more information about this FDA-approved therapy.
For further information, call All County Healthcare now at 954-717-7027. That is 954-717-7027, or visit our website at allcountyhealthcare.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, All County Healthcare always puts the patient's needs first. You are listening to You and Your Doctor, Living Longer and Healthier, an informative show that helps you find answers to questions you always wanted to ask, but did not have that somebody that could make a difference in your life. Call into the show if you have a question at 888-565-1470, and we will put you on the air to inform all our listeners. Now, back to our show.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning back into You and Your Doctor. We have Dr. Miller today. He is at savingyourbrain.com. You can reach him directly at 813-629-3287. I am learning so much about the brain and all the different functions. I feel like I'm getting smarter just by learning all this stuff, Dr. Miller. I'm really learning a lot. To me, it's fascinating to know, to learn how powerful the brain is, and yet how much more is there to really learn about our brain. I imagine there's so much that yet to learn that maybe we don't even know about as far as the power of the brain.
Well, I would say that's true. I mean, the knowledge in functional neurology has grown exponentially just in the last few years. And, you know, I learned things. I've been in practice for 44 years and seen over 16,000 patients, and I still learn things that about the brain and the nervous system and how we can help people, better help people. Yeah. But kind of getting back to your question before about how we would assess you. Mm-hmm. We do that in a lot of different ways. I mean, we do some of that telemedicine. Initially, we have people that come from all over the world. I have patients from all over the country, but also Canada. Just recently had someone from Perth, Australia. And so many times we'll develop initial contact through telemedicine. And then some of these patients that are far away will come in for an intensive. So they may come in after we talk to them for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even a month, and really get some shifting. If people are locally, most people come in a couple times a week, if they're, if they're in the Tampa Bay area and they're close, but it can be done in a lot of different ways. So many times we'll have someone come in and we'll do an assessment, then we'll develop a home program that they can do to keep their brain getting healthier and fixing the problems, and they come back periodically. So there's a lot of different ways.
So Dr. Miller, I have the Brain Tap, and I saw you have that on your website, the Brain Tap device that you put on with the lights, and I love it. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have a chapter on that in my book on Saving Your Brain about that. It's the Brain Tap is a type of audio-visual entrainment, is what it's called. And it's really been around for 60 years, and there's a lot of research
Wow.
on it. And BrainTap is the device I use. I've known Patrick Porter for several years, and
Oh, nice.
we we've used that in the clinic. In fact, we recommend that to every one of our patients that as part of their program to help their brain, because it can do several things. But basically, it's a device that has 5 technologies. It actually has red light, infrared light therapy that treats acupuncture, auricular points in the ear. It has something called binaural beats, monochromic beats, which pace the brain. And it also has guided meditation different in it as well. So what it's doing is our brain mimics different things. So if we do a frequency of 10 hertz, that's alpha, we can actually speed up the brain. So one of the things that happens in the aging process and cognitive decline is the brain starts slowing down. So simply doing alpha on the brain tap, and we have a study we did with that. We did, I think, a half a dozen older population, and we did a QEEG brain map on them. We had them come in once a month
Nice.
and had a neurofeedback session. But we just did like alpha on it. Then we remeasured the brain changes,
Oh,
and we
okay.
remeasured the speed of their brain, and their brain was faster. Their cognitive function improved. We did testing cognitive function, and they had around 30% neuroplastic changes in
Wow.
60, 90 days.
That's impressive.
So it's a great tool, and I use it myself, and it's very relaxing. You can use
I
it
love
to
it.
de-stress, help you sleep. You can make your brain more efficient. We
Yeah.
use it on kids all the time who have focus attention problems. We'll have them take the visor up and actually eyes open, and we'd have them do something called SMR, which is somatic motor rhythm, but it's just 12 to 15 hertz, but it's the beginning of analytical thinking. And so they can read or they can do homework, whatever, with that, and they'll actually remember, new information
Nice.
better, and their brain will actually work more efficiently. So it has a
Nice.
lot of uses.
I was going to ask you because so many kids nowadays have, ADD or ADHD. They're diagnosed with that. I would imagine you have a lot of parents coming in looking for an alternative for their child. Maybe they don't want to prescribe the medication and they're interested in this. Do you treat a lot of young adults or young kids with ADD?
I do. I started out with my book in the older population, aging population, but we have probably 2/3 of our patients are school age now, and probably a third adults. But yeah, ADHD has been on the increase. It's up to around 11, 12%. There's different types of ADHD.
Okay.
We treat a lot of it. There's the hyperactive, I call ants in their pants. Like this
Yeah.
kids, like their
Yeah.
kids on a swivel. They can't sit
Sure.
still. They're into everything. But lots of times it's just they just have inattention and focus problems. 80% of focus attention is in the right side of the brain.
Okay.
Yeah, but we treat a lot of that. In fact, we're in a program called Step Up.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but Step Up gives scholarships to special needs children. It's privately
Nice.
funded, but I think it's it's dispersed through the government agency, but it's private funds, and there's monies out there for parents who have these children in Florida,
Good to
and
know.
our program is in that. So we have a lot of people, but I have a lot of people that aren't in there. I think it's more for people who are homeschooled or private
Okay.
school. I may not be wrong on that, but if anybody has a child, I would investigate.
Sure.
They can look up and find out more about it.
Step Up program. Very good. So, what would you say is there an average time frame where someone goes in and maybe they just want more of an attention span or less anxiety or something, maybe not too intense? What would you say is there a specific, I know you have specific protocols, but is there a time frame that maybe they can have an idea of when they can start seeing a difference and start actually having some tangible results? And we have 2 minutes left, Dr. Miller, so if we can
Okay,
answer
yeah,
that.
that's a very broad question, but for every specific problem and severity of the problem, there's a window of treatment. In other words,
Okay.
if someone came in, I would say, okay, this is a 4 to 6 month project. This is a 6 to 8 month project. If I
Okay.
have an autistic kid, it's a year plus
Sure.
project.
Sure.
So it depends. So it
Right.
depends on what it is, but based on our analysis, we're able to give someone that information after the initial assessment.
Good to know. So we have almost less than a minute left. Would you like to any last minute things you want to say? Maybe you can share with us again. Where is the name of your book and where we can find that?
Yeah, savingyourbrain.com is our website. We have so you can go on there and you can join our YouTube station,
Oh,
Instagram
nice.
station off the website. We have over 100 videos. We put out content every month about all different kinds of things. I have several on Alzheimer's that I've done.
Good.
I have many on ADHD. I have on OCD, dyslexia,
Wow.
very common problem.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the book is called Saving Your Brain, Causes, Prevention, Reversal of Dementia, Alzheimer's. You can get it on Amazon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miller. I appreciate you coming on. I learned a lot today and hope to see you again another time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great night.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Absolutely. Take care.